the song that made Engelbert Humperdinck famous when he first sang it 25 years ago, and he's celebrating his 25th year in show business, and he's our special guest today. Engelbert Humperdinck, you have more letters in your name than I do, and I have always had problems with it. You were not born Engelbert Humperdinck, you were born?
Arnold George Dorsey.
And Engelbert Humperdinck, I at least know this because I'm a classical music fan, wrote Hansel and Gretel, German composer, wrote Hansel. Where'd you get that name?
Well, my manager and myself, when we first started, were looking for a name. And I was looking for all kinds of things, so Humperdinck was better than Strangledink, I thought.
But was it the right decision? It sounds silly now. But
no, it sounded silly at the time. Yes, it does still sound silly. But it sounded even worse at the beginning. I mean, when I first heard about it, I just fell off the stool when my manager called me up and said, "Your name is now Engelbert Humperdinck." But I tried desperately under the other name, and nothing happened, so we had to do something serious.
How long? It's always interesting to me, since I've had what one would call a rough career. When you say you tried under the other name, singing in little clubs and not quite making it, how bad was it and how long?
I'm going to give my age away now, right?
No, I didn't ask. You don't have to tell the years.
I started when I was 17, and I got lucky in show business. I got lucky in show business when I was 27.
So 10 years before. Yeah. Not a lot of people want to put 10 years, into...
That's a lot of time.
10 years of being hungry? Were you hungry?
You see, I decided to go out on my own. I wasn't hungry because... I was hungry because I wanted to do it myself. If I was at home with my parents, I would never have been hungry because they took care of me, But I went out on my own. And I got myself into a lot of debt by staying in places where I couldn't afford. And sometimes when I got a job, I would go out and I'd come back and pay the rent, and I'd have nothing to eat, because the rent would take up, I needed a roof over my head. And a lot of times I would go out and do clubs for the weekend, and I would earn very small money, so I would have enough money to go there on the train and come back. But I would stay in public conveniences, all night sitting on the toilet like that with my coat up. I know it's an odd situation, but it's a true situation.
So you were the homeless, actually.
I did, yeah. It was a stinking job,
Engelbert, you were born in India?
I was, yes.
And you're English?
I'm English. My father was in the British Army.
And were your parents supportive?
Of my career?
Yes.
Not at the beginning. Not at the beginning, because it was so... unsteady, shall we say, that even when I first started courting my wife, and my parents would tell her to tell me, "Why don't you tell him to get a real job?" And then we got married. It was still the same thing because I hadn't made it as yet, And I was determined, and I think determination proved in the end,
As long as one, keeps with the dream.
Yeah,
Tell me about Mom. I know you were very devoted, and I have a real relation. My mother's passed on. Yours has
Mine too, yes. Mine passed on in '88. I mean, our relationship was extraordinary. My father's and my mother's. But, my mother was an exceptional lady. Everybody who met her fell in love with her. She had an appeal that, I don't know. Can you talk?
Well, I'm a good listener. My mother was the most important thing in my life. And when she passed on, she never lived to see me do any of this.
Well, my mother was a very important person in my life, too. I mean, I would travel across the world to see her. Whenever I had time off, as soon as I finished my work, I worked 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or 3 weeks on and 2 weeks off. The next day I would be on a plane and fly home, see her.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to contact her?
You mean spiritually?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did it work?
No, she's left a message, and I knew that it could come from her.
And you knew it was her?
Yeah.
Pretty good. I know you have a feeling about being a crooner or as opposed to a singer. No, I know. You don't like that word. No. I know. that crooner was a dirty word, all right? Why do you feel that way about the phrase crooner?
I don't object to, I mean, a crooner is a crooner, but I am not a crooner.
The octave is larger.
I have a 3.5 range octave range, and people are a baritone or a tenor. They all have the different thing. I'm a contemporary singer.
I think I want to show you something that you probably haven't seen in a long time. This is your appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. Let's take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies,
family of 10 and has 4 children of his own. Tell me about your son, Scott.
My son, Scott, is the one that wanted to be involved with my business, and he's been traveling on the road with me for quite some time. He started off by just learning the business, about the lights and about the sound, about the box office.
Is he good?
And he's very good, and eventually he finished up managing me, and he's I would say, manager I ever had.
Scott, come on out. Scott, what kind? That's really something for Dad to say,
nice.
And I don't think he'd say it if he really didn't mean it. He could say something else, like he's a good guy. Right. What kind of father?
Well, he's the best. He's the best father. There's no question. There's no question in my mind, in my sister's mind, in my brother's mind. He's the best father.
Now,
and the best singer in the world. But,
Now that I told him to say.
I know, but he still, as a manager, has to be dispassionate about certain things. And I know Dad does. What I have heard are not the best imitations in the world.
His impression?
Wait, I want to ask his manager, Scott, what do you think of Dad's imitation?
I think they're wonderful. I think we should try and get him to do a couple. He's going to hate me for saying this.
What's your favorite, Scott? Ask him to do it.
His favorite?
No, yours.
My favorite. It's close between Jerry Lewis and maybe even Julio. Yeah. But I think Jerry Lewis.
Will you do either? You can do either of that.
No, yeah, the reason I got my name Jerry at the beginning is because when I started doing impressions, Jerry was my best impression that I did. And so everyone used to call me Jerry. And so I didn't call myself Jerry with a J. I called myself Jerry with a G.
And that's how it all came about, lady. Perfectly wonderful way of doing it. I thought it was the best way to do it.
When we come back, we're going to meet a 7-year-old girl who Engelbert has kind of adopted. She is living with AIDS, and Engelbert will sing a special tribute song to her. So I wanted you to see these ladies' jackets. Would you stand up? You're so beautiful and so lovely. Turn your back to the camera. Don't go away.